Awesome. Hey guys, thank you for joining the podcast. We're joined with Adam and Nicole from Digital Bear. So just thought we'd start maybe with a short introduction, maybe like an elevator style pitch, like who you guys are, what you do, what the brand's like, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to go or do you want me to?
Yeah, so I'm Nicole. I sort of do the more brand strategy, branding and website side of things of Digital Bear Design. And Adam here does Nutritional Bear, but he'll dive into that in a minute. But I basically do all the bespoke stuff, so I help to guide people from having great clarity within their brand and drive it all the way through on a journey to create their dream brand that's unforgettable. And then we take it to building touch points, such as membership areas and things like that as well.
Hey, I'm Adam. I run Nutritional Bear, the other side of the business, which mainly focuses on ebooks, lead gen, and social media aspects of stuff. And then I also do one-to-one coaching with coaches working through kind of how brand strategy can be evolved into their business to create the perfect roadmap and structure of that actual client journey and the business as a whole.
Cool, amazing. And then what's been the journey like? One question I had in mind from the beginning, but what's been the journey like of where you started to what it's like now? Has it changed? Has it developed much, like in terms of the two separate side, Nutritional Bear and Digital Bear, or I hope that's useful.
Yeah, so I suppose going back from kind of day one, the business started just before COVID. We were working inside a coaching business, and one of the guys just asked me to do a recipe book, and because I used to be a chef, and then lost my job during COVID when it happened because I was freelance head chefing, and then the business just kind of took off from there. And this when all the PTs had to go online and they never had any resources or anything like that. I just started churning out ebook after ebook. Nick was doing all the design work for it while still being within a graphic design company that was dealing with kind of like the high end of the market, Lint, Moe, people like that, came across. And then I guess we were kind of like one of those success stories during COVID. We'd filled a gap in the market on just client fulfillment. I guess we very, very much focused down on level of customer service, always being kind of available to the coaches to actually reach out to. Everyone says it, but like I genuinely was working 7 days a week, and this probably somewhere between 12, 14 hour days. And this when we first started out to build the business. And it was all based off of, I wanted the business first and foremost to be the market leader in customer service. Cool. And the second part of it, to always produce really good products as well. We just slotted perfectly into the market and absolutely skyrocketed from day one. And we worked out that we'd dealt with just over 700 coaches within the first year alone, and escalated, and we've just done we're just under about 2,000 active clients at the moment.
I think from my experience working with Lint and Moe and McCormick's and some of the big brands where they have huge marketing teams and brand teams, is just that level of quality and the amount of detail that goes into, like when I was working at the agency, they have mass teams that are working on every single product and touch point within their brand. And I think I wanted to take part of that and bring it through to our business, because I feel like I'm a bit of a perfectionist anyway, but I love to work on the details and the things that people might kind of miss, but that's the little things that make the difference.
Yeah, and that's the thing that Lint, like you mentioned, especially picturing it comes to mind, is like it's perfection with it. So one kind of point that came to mind was the customer service thing, being like the industry leaders in that. What are the stuff you look for, and what are the pillars you have when it comes to like great customer service? Like how do you, I guess, measure that, or how do you make sure that's like where it needs to be to keep improving?
I'd probably like to start with over delivery. It's like our internal kind of promise that I'll always make to people is just like undersell, over deliver. And it's like almost on every single call that I'll get on with someone, it's always like show them what they want and everything, and just over deliver on it. And relating that to a coaching business, I think it should be exactly the same. Well, in fact, any business should be, really, where if you're going to promise someone the world, you better fucking deliver that plus. And
that's definitely where people go wrong, is they promise all these things and then they run out of time, or they don't have the staff to help manage all these different things, and then it just all goes wrong. Whereas I think if you just promise what you can do, and then if you can go beyond that, then you can just win from that.
It's the little bits as well. It's like almost treating your good clients as like their family. And this is like, if you don't know their business inside out, and you know what's coming through, so sometimes we'll go off and create something, reach out to the client and go, I know this is missing from yours, here you go. And basically it's seeing the problems before they realise the problem's even there and creating a solution. Now, it's not from a perspective of saying, right, you should say, oh, I'm going to go and create this and I'm selling it to that person and just taking them for as much money as possible. It's seeing the problem, seeing how you can fix it and go like, hey, look, you've been a really loyal client of mine. I'm going to spin and turn everything on its head. So instead of giving the best deals to the new people coming through, I give my best deals to the loyal clients. So it's just like, if I've seen a problem with something, go fix it, give it to the person. And it's this constant over delivery of, it doesn't finish when a job's finished. If someone comes to an ebook, I've rebranded, give it to them. There'll be touch points afterwards, checking in on them to see how they're getting on with it. Is it working? Is it not? If, like I say, we've created a new ebook and we're like, oh, that would work perfect for your niche, it's reaching out to them and offering them, giving it to them, seeing where it lies with them, seeing what's going on with it. Do they need a refresh on landing pages or bits and pieces like that, really?
Yeah, and I think a big thing, it sounds like, is just over communicating, and like the overselling stuff, like not overselling as well is huge in the beginning, because it's like it's probably easy for people to maybe listen and to look at what other people are doing and just like, oh, I need to do more, like sell more, like sell harder. But
yeah, I think a lot is like, I approach sales very differently to pretty much what every business mastermind goes against on the fact of they're like, hit home pain points savagely, take money on the call. Someone will either be like, tell them to take out a credit card, have links there to give them for it. And it's just like, I get why you're saying help people online if you truly believe you can help them. But also at the end of the day, they're a human being as well. And it's like, give the person a little bit of slack. So we've now got this reputation where for chunky projects, I just don't take money on the call. I give you 48 hours to come back to me. And I'll actively say to someone, say, hey, here's 48 hours. Go talk yourself out of this. Go check your finances. I'll drop you a message, and then we'll see if we do it. And we've got a rate, like, depending if one person comes back to me or not, and I'll be 15 for 15. And it's not £100 products that we're selling. It's multiple £1,000 products.
I think it makes a huge difference in the quality of the client that comes to us as well. So I think you kind of find the people who are kind of a bit on the edge, not really sure if they have the investment to be able to do it or not sure if they're willing to put the time and effort on their side of things into it as well, they sort of like drip off. Whereas the ones who are really keen and really eager, have the investment, always come back. And we never really seem to have any kind of issues with any client projects.
Yeah, I think going a little bit even deeper on that, it's like, you can tell how much someone wants it, because if they've gone through that kind of period where it's like they've tried to talk themselves out of something and yet they're still willing to spend the money, you know that they've made that educated decision and gone like, yeah, this is a really good investment for my business, it is going to help me forward. And they'll put in the effort as well, because although the coach is outsourcing to experts to do something for them, it's still very much a partnership in what we create. You still have to have some input within branding and this. We've got a very detailed questionnaire that we go through. We'll have calls about it. We'll set up a WhatsApp group where we'll be continue bouncing voice notes about stuff. You have to sign off bits and pieces along the way with mood boards, because everything we do is truly bespoke. And we're not one of these design agencies or a guy just banging out logos where they're taking bits off of stock sites. We don't outsource to Fiverr or something for it. We don't give you 10 or 20 options to choose from, because it's like the first 2 or 3 might be okay, and then the rest you're just plucking at straws with it. It's like if someone comes to you and says like, oh, can you help me kind of craft a message for an outbound and this? It's just like, cool, we're going to concentrate on one message, possibly two, and this. By the time you get down there, it's just like, what have you done? You've whacked into ChatGPT and gone, give me 20 variations on this. Mate, from 13 downwards is absolute piss poor. It's like there's no point in doing it. They've just swapped one word in this, and that's the approach we take to branding. 99 times out of 100, Nick will give you one option, and it bangs absolutely first time, because that's what all of our efforts have gone into. And this, rather than doing that. So there are these things of the more you know about someone, and the more they're invested into it, the better the results get. It's no different from, I suppose, the coach and their client and this. The ones that just pay some money and expect to have abs 4 weeks later, they're not going to see anything. And it's the ones which go, yeah, okay, I'm willing to do this and this and this.
Yeah,
get the
that's
results.
it. We've put like a lot more time, and I think we're focusing right now at the minute in our internal systems and our discovery process, and working on our brand strategy skills and things like that. We already put together a great brand strategy workshop, but we've just invested into someone who's worked with huge global brands like Guinness and Kodiak and major ones, and he's teaching us his skills in his workshops at the moment, and we're going to start implementing that. And I think it's just continue improving, because the more you can do on the discovery phase of things, understanding someone, where they want to go to, who they actually want to attract, and how they're going to stand out in the market, you're going to massively help that further down the line when it comes to creating visuals for that. Because I think people get too excited, they just want to dive straight in, create their logo, and it's like, oh, this is amazing, and then a year down the line we get people like, oh, this isn't actually attracting the right people who I want to attract. So I think it's doing all that initial work helps the process later down the line to what things you can then start implementing to attract the people that you want to.
I think off the back of that one as well, probably one of the major things that we did about a year ago to stop bits like that happening was, we'll only work with you if you've been like niche down for a minimum of like 6 to 9 months. And it's again the same with you. It's like if someone comes to you straight away and goes like, oh, I used to deal with like guys that wanted to get jacked and this, but now I've decided I'm going to go after mums. And it's all the content on the page isn't really relevant anymore. They don't know really much about the niche particularly, and it's a lot harder to go for it. So now we're like, right, do you know your niche? How long have you been coaching in this? What's your content like already for it? Are you really an expert, an authority figure in this? You're just struggling with the branding side of stuff and a little bit of the brand strategy. Are you likely to change again in the next kind of 2 years or so? Because if someone has just made a straight change and you look back through their feed and you go, well, you were coaching like guys, then you're coaching women for this. Now you've changed your handle to like, I coach dads and this. Is like, you've got no consistency for it. So we'll probably give you like the perfect logo for that. But if you're going to change again in 3 months' time or 6 months' time, it's a waste of your money. And that's the last thing we want to do is be so invested into to someone produce something and then them go, I'm changing again. It's like, get all the foundations laid, then we'll do it, and then you're set for hopefully the rest of your career and life on it.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. I think like an interesting takeaway is like maybe I'm wrong with it, but I think potentially coaches or clients that are more looking for, maybe within both services, like looking to be saved completely with like their business, like this one thing is going to generate all the leads and like get all the business. That's the ones that maybe like find it a bit harder when they actually need to do their side of it, like have the equation. But
shiny object.
Yeah.
they're just looking for the shiny object which is going to save the business, literally what you said. I think with that is they're the ones who either potentially grew too fast too quickly and they didn't have foundations in, or they're doing okay for whatever reason. I'm sure they're okay coaches. Some of them are really good coaches in this, but everything does come back to the foundations of doing stuff. And it's this really, it's very, very simple in the concept is if you don't have foundations laid, nothing's going to be stable moving forward. And that's the thing, if they're going from one thing to another thing and go like, oh yeah, like if I get a new branding or logo, like, am I going to get 100 clients? It's like, no. But it will attract the right ones. Now, if you can't sell, if you can't market, and you're just not a great results-driven coach in this thing, that's not on the branding. And there's any more than if you're a great coach, but the clients you're attracting just can't stick to what you're telling them, that's not a reflection on the results you get. It's a reflection on your communication skills and this on it. And you do. We had someone was just like, oh, I can't wait to launch my website. And it's like, what's going to happen? I'm like, well, you're going to launch your website. And then she's like, yeah, well, would I get like 1,000 people come through? And it's like, well, it all depends. Are you going to advertise or are you just going to press launch and then say nothing? And I did a post the other day, just, it was a backhanded shot at people and this, but it was like, if you're not a coach yelling about your lead gen, no one knows you have a lead gen and this. And we gave one to a coach and the other day, and within literally a couple of minutes of him receiving the ebook, he was up on his stories, generating him leads and this. But other people buy an ebook from someone, record a video and this, they'll do it. They might put a link in the bio, but you'll never see it advertised on stories or anything in this. And like, I literally dropped the story, jumped on a flight to Dubai, and then my phone went mental when I turned it back on the other side. People were just kind of like, I feel this is aimed at me. I've been seen. All those standard replies you get when you like fire shots and this. And I was like, yeah, because I know you've got at least this many ebooks because you've bought them from me. You've probably bought them from some other people or created your own and this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I've never seen you advertising them. So what was the point? It's like,
I think that's it. It's like we're going heavy on lead generation at the minute and providing assets, and we've just built out some lead accelerator landing pages as well. But it's, if you don't implement them, so for example, we can give you all the tools, the ebooks, the landing pages, but if you don't put them out there publicly or launch them, then they won't do anything. But if you do and you keep plugging it and plugging it and plugging it, you're going to start bringing in those leads. But it's not all on us to kind of essentially bring those in for you. You've got to do a little bit of the work as well.
Yeah, and everything relates to that. And it's the same as like the coach as well. It's just like, you can give the perfect training plan to someone for a rehab or something in this, but if they aren't willing to do their stretch and mobility and this kind of stuff, it's not going to work. You can give someone a macros, nutrition plan, meal plans, however you deal with it in this, but if the client doesn't stick to it, they're not going to get the results. Or if you're not going to educate them and they don't want to listen to it and that, then there has to always be a relationship. And listen, I think a lot of it is people just don't take ownership, and that they think, oh, I've brought this, so now what happens?
Yeah, and then it's like, but that fascinates me. I wonder, like, if it's more towards like the limiting belief, or and it potentially is from the beginning them not being invested in what, like, it being a partnership with any service where it's a partnership. It's always like a 50-50.
Yeah, I think the chunkier stuff where people are more financially invested and it's a bigger part of their service, they are, and this, so like they will use their branding depending on like what package you get from us or stuff like that. We might do you a logo animation or a website promo video, bits like this. Like, they're the ones that are, I think it's the smaller things. So someone just picks a white labeled ebook or they do the ebook themselves, and they'll put it out on their stories once. They might do a social media post, but then there's nothing else. It's just like, we live in such a fast moving world, and it's like the amount of content that we're all absorbing every single day. It's like, people aren't remembering anything on your stories from 3, 4, 5, 6 days ago. So it's like, why aren't you doing this ebook every week, shouting about it in this? Because not all of your audience has seen it anyway. People aren't going to remember it. People might have seen it, but just not at the appropriate time for them to take action on it. And it's just like, if you've got 3, 4, 5 different lead gens, like, just do them in different cycles of stuff, because an air fryer recipe book might work for someone, but a stress guide might work for someone else. An arms guide might work for someone, but it's not going to work for someone else. It just depends what mindset they're in at that particular moment of hitting it. But it's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And every coach goes like, oh, you need consistency with going to the gym. Don't go once and then again 1 month later and go like, well, why haven't I seen any change? Like, go 3, 4, 5 times a week. Well, why aren't you taking the same approach with your own business on stuff? Why aren't you hammering lead gen in this? Like, unless you've got an amazing, I guess, like little ecosystem that you've built up where it's like either you've got 40, 50 clients, every single one of them's referring people to you every other month, so you're growing organically massive that you don't have to do that. You need to be doing that. So if you've invested some money in stuff, rinse and repeat, get your money's worth out of that. It's like if you've got one from 2 years ago, test the water with it. See if it's doing that. You don't have to buy something new. Like, by all means, come to me and buy something new, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And this, so I think that's a lot of the bits. And I guess from your side, it's following up with people. Just because someone said no 6 months ago, that doesn't mean they're going to say no now. And it could be different. They could have got a promotion at job, they could have got a pay rise, could have just seen a doctor the day before. For all you know, that's just said, mate, you need to do something, and this, or bad things are going to happen in this. So I think it is just touching up and remembering to chase people down and stuff.
Yeah, and with the lead magnets, I always find like also testing what, like, you can have the same lead magnet and you can offer it like 100 different ways, and you can test what people like. You can have the same air fryer like lead magnet, and you can come up with like one where you can position it more towards Halloween, you can position it more towards Christmas, you can change the pain points that you link it to. Like, the same thing, it's just more data. But I don't think people, like, if they get rejected once with it, they'll just like leave
That's
it.
it though, isn't it? And like Adam's got a Costa ebook, and we're like, well, you could just give it away, or you could be more playful with it. Like, if what's your favourite Costa drink, and DM me a message on what it is, and you can have the free ebook. Or what's your favourite snack, your go-to snack, and like, do you know what I mean? Just be more playful with it rather than just be like, here's my ebook, do you want it? I think you just got to like engage people a little bit more, and then people will be more kind of forthcoming to reaching out to you as well.
Oh, definitely. Being interactive is massive. Just putting up and going, oh, do you want my free ebook? And then go, one person's done it. It's like, sweet.
Yeah,
just make it into a bit of a game.
Yeah.
And it's like, do that, or be like, hey, what's my go-to order for 600 calories for breakfast from this? Or what's my Nando's order? And this for a Nando's one, and bits of this. Get people engaged in a conversation and this. Give away something. If you get it right, you can have a 15-minute goal setting call, discovery call, whatever you want to call it, and this, and use it as a conversation starter rather than what you're thinking it is of just, oh, here's an object that I want to give away. You don't really want to give it away at all. Like, the ebook itself is irrelevant to some degree. You want to get in a conversation with someone, so steer them towards a conversation. And it's just like, it's epic to build up an email list, but if you're not going to send emails, what's the point in having an email list? And it's like, I didn't have an email list for, well, let's call it 3 years, and this didn't stop me running a very successful business. I sent in the first in the first 3 years of business, I sent 2 emails to 2 people who didn't understand how to download from a Google Drive, so I had to send them an ebook on that. Didn't stop us running a multi-six-figure business, but now we're doing it.
Yeah, we've just started implementing it, but it just shows you, like, I think it just wasn't a priority for us when we were just starting out, and we were still trying to figure out other systems that were a little bit more kind of important. But it does show that you can get past 6-figure business without having certain systems. But I think it goes back to those foundations. I think because we were so focused on building strong foundations, before we started adding in all those extras and those bonuses and all these extra marketing tools, we ended up having a successful business, compared to, I think, if we did marketing and we did social media and we did LinkedIn and we did Facebook and we did all the things, I think everything would have just fallen apart.
It becomes a distraction. And I think that's what a lot of coaches suffer from as well. It's, like we touched on earlier, it's the shiny object syndrome. They're looking for that one thing, when in reality, well, you've probably got 5 to 10 things which you could be doing right now, which A, isn't going to cost you a penny, and B, is probably going to generate something quicker in your business. And that it's like, use the resources that you've got. use other bits and pieces. You might not need a shiny new CRM system. You might not need the latest funnel or anything like this. And it's just like, use what you want. When was the last time you did a Q&A on Insta? When was the last time you asked an engaging question? And bits like this, it's like, if you're not doing this all the time, then why do you suddenly think something which is going to sit behind doing that is going to make any difference? It's creating a perfect bio almost on. So if you're filling it with discount codes for my protein and this and going, oh, I'm an affiliated athlete. You're not, mate. You've sent them an email or you've clicked the link that says, I want to be an affiliate. You get a little bit of money kickback and stuff. And it's just like, if it's more important that you think that should be there rather than like your cool booking or a lead gen, it's just like, good luck to you. And I hope more than 2 people buy £10 worth of fucking subs and this sort of thing, so you get your 2% back and this. But it's like, there are far easier ways of generating cash than that, and there's sure as hell better ways of getting into conversations than going, click my protein link or any other. Please don't sue me.
But I also find like with all of that stuff, it's like if you go with the email list as well, like if you go in, I think the intentions are weird sometimes. Like people go into it with the intention, I want like, and I was the same, to be honest, when I was coaching. Like, I want to build an email list. How can I extract an email from this person? And it's like, it comes across, I think. But when you're like, when you do it, it's like, I would just want to help you. I want to give you the lead accelerator stuff. It's easier to build an email list, and it's easier to actually help people.
Oh yeah, 100%. So like we've kind of, now we built all the foundations, like, so we've just recently started doing a lot more kind of heavy email marketing, but we don't really like, we'll sell occasionally like on there, like bundles and more kind of digital products, but we tend to put a lot more value. So like the posts that I put out on Instagram, like we get kind of good comments in the DMs and stuff about them and how they help people, but we go into so much more detail in our emails. And I think that's the thing, like I try and position emails so you get like valuable content every week that's more in kind of detailed form. And I always try to put actionable things into our emails, so you can go into through our emails and you can always implement every single thing on one of our emails, rather than sign up to my emails so I can basically sell you something. It's like, no, you're supposed to be providing value, because obviously the more I can kind of help you, the better you're going to become, and then eventually you might need one of our services to then go beyond that.
Yeah, like, I think the only regret in the learning curve, I think, would be, I wish I had collected emails when we first started, because the email list would be a hell of a lot bigger now. And you can see that with 2020 hindsight, but it didn't affect the business back then. And it was, I don't enjoy writing and this, so sitting there and writing an email would have taken up far more time than actually doing valuable stuff and this to help the business. So I think if we concentrate on that, the business wouldn't be where it is today, without a shadow of a doubt. But now when we are doing stuff like that, so Nick, like Nick was saying, we're doing 2-3 value style emails a week. It would have been nicer to have had a much bigger email list to put out to play the numbers game, of course. And this, but I think it's just this thing, if you can collect emails, then obviously do it. But there's no guarantee that's going to be the thing for you, which is going to go, I'm going to send out one email and 100 clients are going to sign up. And this is like, I almost wish sometimes it did work like that, because then from our perspective, you could just say, I told you so. Because like, I think if most coaches, apart from like the really big people in the industry who are onboarding tens every week sort of thing, and this is like, the business would crumble if they got given like 15 or 20 clients today. And it's just like, they haven't got the systems to do it. I was chatting to someone who was saying, how long does it take to onboard? And they said like, probably longer than it should do. And I was just like, what happens if I gave you 10 clients like tomorrow? And they were like, I'd be very happy, but also freaking out, and the overwhelm would be savage. because it would take me this long to onboard them and stuff, and then like I don't have this in place, I don't have this in place, I don't have this. I'm like, cool, what happens if those 10 started asking questions from day one? It's just like, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
But wants to grow a business. And it's like, sweet, let's get the foundation sorted out then. Because you can't, and it's no different. Like, no coach in their right mind would be like, oh, sweet, I've got a new client home, so first thing we're going to do tomorrow is do full Olympic lifting with you. And they're like, I've never been to a gym in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at me, I'm like 20 stone overweight, and you're getting me doing Olympic lifts. Like, this isn't happening. So they'd obviously try and build the foundations in this with the person, get them into a routine, and then doing more complex lifts or stuff that's going to potentially test them a bit more. And I think that's what a lot of coaches are coming around now to thinking about. They've just been pushed so heavy with certain business mentorships that it's like, you just need to concentrate on sales, because if you're not selling to people, you're not getting anyone on board. And it's just like, I get that, and I do agree to some extent, but if you're not using that period where you're not crazy busy and this to be building the foundations to it, it's just like, are you writing onboarding sequences? Are you tinkering around in the background and going, well, actually, hey, look, I could build out some rough templated programs to then make bespoke when the client comes on? If you haven't got these little things which you can make life so much easier, like, do you have welcome docs? Do you have contracts in place? Do you have a system where I know what I'm doing with them on the first, the second, the third check-in? I know what we're doing in between, where all their data's being stored in this. So take this opportunity, because at some point you hope to be really fucking busy. And it's like, if you've got these spare hours and this kind of stuff, it's like, stop filming a day in the life of this is what I eat. It's like, for most people's niche, it's like, they don't give a fuck what you eat. And it's like, they don't care where you are. And this, possibly some of them are just like jealous that all you're doing is wandering around. It looks like you're going from coffee shop to coffee shop eating and this kind of stuff. They don't care what a picture of your Costa coffee next to your computer looks like. It's just like, when did this become a thing that people cared that much? And it's like, for some niches, I'm sure it's going to work, and I'm sure they've had an inbound message and they've signed up a client from it. But for the average person, people don't care. Yeah. And it's about it. And it's like, concentrate on the stuff which is actually going to set you up for the next 5-10 years, rather than just, oh, I saw this big influencer do that, so surely I must do it. It's like, no, mate, that big influencer is probably making less money than you. And they're just peddling a 47 quid plug and play training program and this sort of thing. It's like, just because they've got a couple of 100,000 followers or something, it's like, I mean, 100,000 people have been buying from them.
Yeah, with my protein discount as well.
Yeah, they're making 20 quid from that.
I think people get so wrapped up in what they're doing and in their lives, and they're posting about, like their coffee at their laptop and having Costa while they're doing their check-ins and stuff. But I don't think people are that interested, because they know if they're with them, they're going to be getting their check-in, or if they're not, then that's just part of the process. But I think people are just selfish these days. Everyone thinks about themselves. So rather than putting out, like, necessarily as a coach what you're doing day to day, what potentially should other people be doing? Like, I think you've got to try and create content to help someone visualize what they should necessarily be doing, like, rather than just, this is what I'm doing, I'm working on my laptop, but that's not necessarily something that someone else would be doing. Especially if someone has an office job and things like that, they're not going to be going out, do you know what I mean, like in the afternoon to Costa. So it's like, maybe start creating more content if you're trying to attract people who have an office job. What kind of meal prep would you take to work and things like that, rather than where they can try and visualise that rather than having a snack in Costa. Does that make sense? Yeah.
How would you, so content that helps your ideal client visualise where they want to get to, or where they, or kind of what the program looks like. Is there any kind of examples in terms of like what you see working? Where was there any kind of like, maybe it's a hard one, but like templates in terms of how you'd go about steering more towards that content rather than the one that's like just going to look cool to other coaches?
I think definitely from my personal perspective, a lot of the kind of food prepping real content is doing especially well at the moment. I think it's not doing maybe as well as it was maybe like 6 months ago, but that's still doing well. And then Adam's, I don't know, what kind of digital assets work?
I think a lot goes down to how well do you know your niche as well. And this is, if you're putting out content that you've just seen other people put out content, because you've either seen a couple of people have gone viral on something in this, or for want of a better, you're just being lazy and you're just taking other people's ideas on stuff rather than creating your own for your niche, it's never going to do as well as going, right, okay, well, I work with this sector, these are their major struggles, because if you don't know their struggles, how are you going to create content for them? And so a lot of it does come down to, if you're going to niche down, you sure as fuck need to know that niche. And this is not just they've got disposable cash, therefore I can fleece them, therefore it's going to make me money. And this, like, there's nothing wrong if you want to make money, crack on, son. And this, but you're not going to be providing the valuable content to attract those people if you don't know them. So it's like, know your niche, go find out what all their problems are, and create very, very bespoke, specific, basically content at the end of the day for them. It's like, your page should attract one type of people and one type of people only, the people you want to coach. Everyone else should literally hit that and go. They shouldn't be following you, they shouldn't be engaging with you and this. And you see a lot of people that have gone in really hard on doing reels, and they're caught up in creating content for people to find semi-amusing. And you'll look at it and you'll go like, who's watching and absorbing this content? And this is like, is it other coaches that are on your same mastermind as you, and they're being semi-supportive and they think you're the right person, so they're liking it? Because if you're creating content for other coaches, well, I hope you've got a really well-paid full-time job, because coaches aren't buying from you. And if it's the other side, like, you just want to be funny because you think you're funny, and you're creating sketches and this kind of stuff. Again, is this hitting with the people that you want to buy from? But you sure as hell have to be putting out some form of value as well. And this, because if it's just doing it because you want to be an actor, but you can't quite be an actor, so you're producing your own ones because no one can tell you you're not good enough. And this is like, the amount of time you're spending and potentially money in hiring people to do this for you. It's like, you could hire a VA and be smashing out so many messages on something, or getting that side of stuff done. Go create content which actually works, rather than this. And you see people where it's like, you can tell they've invested. They're wearing expensive Rode mics. You can tell that they've got a reasonable camera setup and this. They've brought lighting to do bits and pieces. They're editing it where you've outsourced that to someone to edit it for you, or you're spending a lot of time doing this yourself, and you're like, I wonder how many clients they have, because they appear to have a lot of free time. And it's this bit where it's just like,
I think it's really interesting. Like, I've just seen someone who's just grown massively on Instagram and other platforms in the last 3 months, totaling up to like 150,000 followers. But followers aren't everything, because she's actually next week going for a part-time job because she has no clients. So it's very interesting. Like, you see kind of all these people and coaches who have huge followings, but because they're just putting out entertaining content, they're not actually attracting people who are actually going to sign up to their program. They're just having a laugh and then moving on to the next reel. Do you know what I mean? It's very interesting to see the insights. And I think recently I was saying to Adam, like, a lot of people are starting to come out, especially in November time as it's getting towards the end of the year, and they're like, I've actually had a really bad year. And I think it's because they're not investing enough time, like, into quality content, like content that's going to attract clients. They're just putting out bits and pieces here and there. It's still taking that time, but they're not actually getting the eyes that they want on it.
They're going for volume as well, isn't it? It's like, I completely understand. I do agree that it is a numbers game. If only an X number of percentage are going to see the content, if you're putting out 2-3 times the amount of content, it'll work. But if that content's not valuable, it's what you're doing. You wouldn't say to someone, oh, well, let's do 50 sets of this and let's do 100 reps a set, because with more volume you're going to grow. It's just like, no, you're just going to fatigue the fuck out of the person and send their central nervous system to shit, and they're probably going to walk away and never go in the gym again and drop you as a coach. And it's the same process with that. It's like, I understand if you send 20 messages rather than 10, you're doubling your chances that someone's going to reply and hopefully sign up. But with the content, if you're just putting out masses of shit content, and this, if someone does hit your page because you've been lucky enough to go viral or hit the explore and something, if all they go through is just like, okay, well, where's something that's actually going to help me? Rather than just you've put out your 20th different variation of a protein shop in Aldi. And this is just like, sweet, well, once I know they sell one protein pudding there, I'm semi-educated enough to look left and right and go, shit, there's 2 other flavours here that I could try. I don't need 3 different flavour videos on it. And then you go, oh, look, they do mousses just above. It's like, you don't need to go and do training shops. And I get the fact that they go, oh, well, it's easy. I'm shopping there anyway. Or I'll go there once and I'll create 7 videos in one time. Brilliant. You've saved time. Well done. But it still comes back to this thing of like, how much interaction did you actually get from that? Whereas instead, if you'd given someone a value post of telling them how they could get more protein in a diet, or how they could do this, or how they could do that instead, you'd probably have another client.
I think the thing is, like, we're not social media experts and we have a small following, but it's very interesting how I see huge accounts compared to the way that we work. So I think my personal account's got, less than 2,000 followers, but we're fully booked all the time, 2-3 months ahead. Whereas people who have huge accounts are like, I don't actually have any clients. So it's very interesting in how you utilize your social media and having the right people. It's better to have my kind of following who is engaged and is going to buy your content with less followers than having 150,000 people that's not going to buy from you at all.
Yeah. And I definitely relate, because I definitely think it's something I chased when I was like personal training. Like, I'll just get a following and all my problems will disappear. Like, I'll just make the content really engaging or like whatever. But I think potentially it sounds like maybe tracking, if you want to track any data, maybe tracking how many people are actually saving your content and how many conversations it creates potentially. Would you say, like, with the one I see with the like audiences is like, I always see people, the most popular niche I think people target is like busy professionals.
Fuck off. That's it. That's just my reply to that. It's going to be that, or we're going to end up cancelled. It's what's the definition of busy?
Yeah, everyone's busy.
Everyone's busy in some way or form, and it's just like, and a professional, it's just like, well, if you take your job seriously and potentially you've got a qualification or you're just reasonably good at it, are you not a professional?
Yeah.
So it's just like, are you doing this to stroke someone's ego and this by calling them that, or what's the definition of it? And it's just like, come on, you need to be more niche specific than that if you're going to do it, or you might as well just be like, I coach men, I coach women. It's just like, sweet. So you've alienated, for argument's sake, 50% of the population of the world. Brilliant. Then you go a little bit deeper and you go, well, I'm not going to coach potentially kids, teenagers, OAP. So you're like, right, sweet. So it's males who are adults. Excellent. And then you go down to this. It's just like, a postman's busy during his working time, but are you going to classify him as a busy professional the same as you would someone who's a CEO of a 7 or 8 figure business? Because the way you deal with them is going to be very different, but they could both potentially still be a busy professional. And it's like, you take an Amazon delivery driver who's possibly 13, 14 hours on this thing, delivering 700, 800 parcels. And this is just like, they're fucking busy. And this, compared to someone who might not be. And that, but they'll go, well, I'm a professional and yeah, my day's busy. And it's like, just work out where it is. Stop being so lazy with the marketing and this, and hone down a little bit, or just don't at all. And just say, like, yeah, I can help anyone and everyone, and play the numbers game on that, and just create really generic content that would help anyone and hope for the best.
Yeah, I find it comes down to like more, the problem I think comes down to more like not understanding, like not relating to the people. Like it's more like, oh, I want to help people that that can like afford the most amount for the program, like you say, fleece people.
Yeah.
So like the coach on the other side, I don't think can relate to the struggles of a 7-8 figure CEO, but they're trying to sell to them, and I think that's where a disconnect sometimes.
I think I'm personally a fan of niching down. Like that's what we've done to get into the industry. And then, I don't know, maybe in years to come we'll maybe branch out, but I think it's great to have a strong idea on who you want to attract to get somewhere in the first place. Because the problem that we have is we have so many coaches come to us who just want to coach Gen Pop and things like that. But the problem with that is you're going up against people like Courtney Black and things like that who are charging people £20-30 a month. So you're going to have people go, well, why should I not pay £20-30 a month? Why should I be paying £150? Do you know what I mean? I think that's where the struggles are with it, is you have people who, you know, are so far high up the ranks and they're bringing all these people in at such a low cost, but they're making tons of money because they have the audience. Whereas someone who, you know, if you've got 15 clients or so, you can't be doing £20-30 a month for a client. And that's where I think with coaches, I think they kind of forget about the competition. So I think it's very it's a great idea to scout kind of your competition, who you're going to be up against. Like for example ourselves, like although we're not coaches, like we're in the design industry, but because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of design agencies in the UK, but there's only 4 or 5 design agencies within the fitness industry. So we're not going up against thousands, we're just going up a few. So I think you've got to kind of really understand your competitors and where you can actually position yourself to then attract the right audience for you, rather than trying to go up against these people like Courtney Black and stuff where you're not going to win against them.
Yeah. No, I find like, so with the one thing that came to mind earlier was like more towards the two different kind of sides of it, and I just like something that pops into my head which would be cool was like, where do you guys fall like in terms of like strengths versus weaknesses? Do you like are you kind of quite identical with it, like in terms of the roles you do? I know you mentioned
we are polar opposites, but that has actually been a strong benefit to our business. So I would say I'm probably more introverted. I would much rather kind of sit on the computer all day, do the technical stuff like coding websites and doing the branding side of things. Adam is a lot more extroverted. He has the energy. He just bounces off walls. He can take like 10 back-to-back sales calls, and I could probably only manage like 1 sales call a day.
A week. Yeah, it has worked very well in most things. The only time it causes a little bit of chaos is just when we want to push certain things. So the businesses on the front are 2 separate businesses, but 80-90% of people know we're the same sort of thing. It's only if a cold outreach comes in or something like that on it. And then the behind the scenes is obviously we're one business. And this way it says if I've got a launch coming up for some new ebooks or something like this, we then have to be mindful that although we've got multiple different social media platforms, and it's hard to do 2 launches at the same time on stuff. So there is a little bit of chaos in the respect of like juggling when we can push on something in this. And the pricing is very different on bits as well. The branding, the websites, and this, we're one of, if not possibly the most expensive in the niche for certain stuff. But we're very competitive on the ebook prices of bits. So it's pushing on a lower ticket and pushing on a higher ticket at the same price. But then on the flip side is people come in and we get a high percentage that go through the perfect funnel that we've created. They'll come in, they'll buy ebooks, they might not have branding, and they might need a rebrand at some point. And the ideal for us is you come in on a lower ticket on an ebook, you buy a couple of ebooks, you might buy a bundle, you then move through and go, actually, I need a rebrand. Then we'll have to rebrand all those ebooks you've brought, and this 9 times out of 10 I'll do you a deal on them, and this. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, sweet, maybe I will have a website, maybe I'll have the members area, and this, and it slowly steps up, and this on bits like that. So it's similar in the fact of a coach would go, okay, well, look, I've got my lead gen sorted, I might run a group coaching program in this, which is a lower one, then I do my one-to-ones. and this. And I think that's something that is quite important to have. There needs to be this very clear line of how to get people, but it also works quite nicely in the opposite way. So someone might come to us for a rebrand and then go, I haven't actually got any resources. It's like, oh, happy days for you, my friend. What one would you like of this 50 plus that we've got? Or do you want these ones or this one? And everything works nicely because there is no real push and pull apart from launches within the business. It's like, if you don't have branding suite, get branding from this side of the business, and then you can get all the assets from this side of the business. So it works nicely on that side of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I take away from your content as well. And I think that's probably down to your marketing, your content, which is what like one side does come across, like the recipes come across really easy to get a hold of and like, you know, work with, and then the other side is like a lot more, I guess, like a lot more tailored, a lot more like hard, like a lot longer to get done.
Yeah, so we've deliberately done that, and strategically with our marketing is we've deliberately set up different accounts. So we have Nutritional Bear, which does look like it's a lot easier to kind of purchase digital assets, bundles. I think it's just fitness business and box really is probably the highest thing, but they're more kind of lower ticket, whereas Digital Bear and my account is then a lot more on the kind of premium side of things. So we've deliberately split that content so we can kind of either attract people who are looking for the more kind of lower ticket kind of things or the higher ticket kind of things on different accounts. And I think that's worked really well for us in kind of splitting our audience rather than trying to bring everyone in together on the same account, because it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to create content that can attract both low ticket and high ticket at the same time. It either looks premium or it doesn't. There's not really much kind of in between. So I think we have done well on that kind of factor.
I think another really good move that you did a while back was we stripped back giving value and behind the scenes or anything like that on Digital Bear's one, and it's just turned into a mini portfolio. So now the only thing that goes on it is client work. And this, so it's very easy if someone comes to you and just like, oh, I'm interested in branding or something, even if they come through Nutrition Bear, it's like, sweet, go to this page, have a look through. Because if this is the style of branding that you like and you want, we're the right people for you. Let's jump on a call, let's have a conversation in this. And then you moved all of the value behind the scenes, personal to yours, and the interaction rate was poles apart when we did this.
I think it makes a huge difference because Digital Bear Design, it's not just us two, we have a whole team.
Yeah.
So it's hard just to put because I do the majority of our reels, it's hard just to put my face on our Digital Bear Design account because it's not just me, like there's 5 of us, 6 of us. Whereas like on my personal account, it can just be all my reels, all the valuable stuff. Obviously, I do all our brand strategy workshop sessions and everything like that. So it makes sense for me to do that on my personal account. They can have a little insight into what is going on behind the scenes because I do the majority of the design work as well. And then obviously they can see all the finalised pieces on Digital Bear Design, and that's obviously where a lot of the rest of the team has had input into all that as well.
And I think it works well as well for... It could... I say it does work well. It could work quite well for coaches as well. Like, depending on how much results you're getting and how quickly. And if you've got a page where it's just like sporadic ones every now and then, people might get the impression, well, you don't have very many clients, or it's taking you 6 months before the thing, or if you are in that position where you don't have many clients in this and you're only pumping out the same 1 or 2 results, and you're just like, oh, well, I posted this 3 months ago, so I'll post it again. It's just like, yeah, but you need more. So either get more clients, coach people for free to get it, do a discounted rate or whatever it is to drive through more, and this, or stop putting them so much on there. Create a second page with just your results and go through, even if it's just like, oh, this is what this person's achieved at the 3 month mark, the 6 month mark, the 9 months. And you can label it up differently to do it, because if someone does hit a theme, there is just like 1 or 2 results on this. It can look quite bad.
It's a great way to do it as well, to promote your program, because like you don't want to if people are doing personalized reels and stuff, you don't want to clutter it with like all your program stuff. So you could do all the personalized reels on your personal page to get people interested, and then obviously if you have like what we do is we put the Digital Bear Design account in our bio, you can immediately go over to that, and then they could have, like we have our clients who do it, all their results, their program information, what's included, maybe like challenges that's currently going on. If all that kind of main focus program stuff's on that page, but then you have all the valuable stuff on the other one, it works really well to divide that.
It's the bit as well with it where building a personal brand will explode far quicker, and you'll get the buy-in on a personal level with people in this. But you can also do that thing of, if you do have a legitimate looking business page, a website or something, you do still look more professional. And this, especially depending on what your target audience is. And this is like, they might not have grown up in a generation where it was just like, oh yeah, I'm happy to spend money off of a TikTok advert, or I'm happy to just click on a sponsored ad on Insta and just buy in this. They'll want to see a website, or at least a landing page, or they'll want to be able to check you out, like, have you got Google reviews anywhere, or anything like this kind of stuff. And if you don't have a little bit of something to look a little bit more professional, people will be shocked if your page is like all over the place. It looks, for want of a better word, cheap as fuck. And there's nothing screaming professional about it apart from the odd okay transformation. And then they get on a call and you're just like, oh yeah, so I sell my thing for £400 a month. People are just like, what the fuck?
I think that's it. Like, we've started to get our clients to collect more data. We've started doing it ourselves, and we've seen great success from it. So we started trying it out with our clients, but like, go and ask people, like when people sign up to you, what's the reason why they are? Start getting information and marketing research to what you can then do to expand on that to bring in more people. And the feedback that they've been then relaying to us is either they've gone on their website, they can see everything laid out, very clear, very structured, easy to navigate, everything that would be included in their program, or it's the members area that's pushed people over the line, exclusive content, all tailored kind of, to their current struggles, and they kind of see all the, the shiny objects within there that they want access to. And it's these extra things that people go, oh, I don't know if I need that, or I don't know if I want that. And it's like, might not need it, but it might be the thing that pushes potential clients over the line. And from all the research that we've been doing with clients lately, it is these things that people are having to pay a little bit extra money for, but it's winning later down the line.
It's definitely something which is helping people move that barrier of like 150 to 250 mark. And this where you're just sat in between, you're just like, oh, I want to raise my prices, but I'm not sure how. And it's like, sweet, are you setting a really good standard right from the first end? Like, I had a voice note from a client on Tuesday, and it was a blinding one for us. And at some point, I'll probably put it out as a testimony if I ever decide to post again on Instagram. But it was basically just saying to him, just like, he's worked with a lot of different businesses across it, but he's never had such a smooth process. And the guy, he doesn't do anything crazy. And it's just simply Calendly form to a thank you page. But if you don't have a thank you page as a coach, which is objection breaking all of these things beforehand and stuff, pre-qualifying almost the person and that, then going on to it, having your sales call, taking the money, and then an immediate onboarding process. And do you have an email sequence? Do you have a welcome guide? Do you have promise documents on this kind of stuff? It's setting the tones on bits. They say Insta's fantastic, and as much as all of us whinge about glitches, having to play by the algorithms, it's like, we're very fortunate that there's been a free service for so many years which has let us all build very good businesses to some extent. But it should be a shop window and nothing else more than a shop window. And everything behind the scenes of potentially a website, a landing page. And it's just like, you don't have to have anything really, really flashy in this. Like, you can create a landing page on Google Docs if you really want to. And you can do bits on Canva now and stuff with landing pages, and like, they don't look amazing or anything, but you can just about get by with them. And it's still just this thing of show more, because people still don't hit Insta and want to read A4 essays on there. Like, you're going to get clocked out. Then you've got to write it in the comments and all this kind of stuff. Someone's got to find part 2, part 3, part 4, and all of this. It's like, if you have the background, it's like, entice them with Insta, front of the shop, then all the back of it is what's actually in there that keeps them in there and stuff. And you have to go along these lines of saying, it's like, right, where am I priced? What's my price point? Where am I in the market and stuff? Like, no one walks into Louis expecting it to be cheap. You know it's expensive. Even just looking through the windows of how everything's laid out and stuff. And someone was telling me, it's like, Apple per square foot has the most expensive retail market because there's massive gaps between everything. And it's absolutely crazy on it. But they sell at such a high premium, it doesn't matter. They can have an iPhone here and another iPhone or an iPad 10 meters down the thing and only have 5 things in the shop if they wanted.
They do that. There's actually psychology behind why they've done that, is because they see every single piece of technology as a piece of art. So what they've done is they've created white space
as a frame
around every single device in the store. And that's actually, rather than people being confused of like which one to pick, it's like, this is the one for you because it's perfectly clear space around it, and it's good psychology around that.
And I think this is going back to what we were saying about, it's, if you don't look premium, it's going to be a struggle to charge premium, unless like you can get away with, to some degree, looking cheap. But if you have genuine world-class results, whatever results are in your particular form of coaching, and you're backing it up because you can prove you get the results. So you can get away with things looking a little bit more rustic or not as premium. But if the front of your store looks like Pound Shop, people expect to pay bottom level prices. And I think that needs to be brought in more and more now. And it's not just, get as many people as you can onto a call, refuse to tell them the price and this. It's like, pre-qualify these people. It's like, if they're sat on the fence, you probably could pull them over with manipulation, but are they even a good fit for your program, or are you just taking cash? Because if you're just taking cash, go to OnlyFans or something. You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to cause you hassle further down. I think that's why we started really pre-qualifying people. If someone comes to me and goes, how much is branding? I'll tell them in a DM straight away. They know that price. It's a starting point of here to here and this. And they'll make that conscious decision before they book in a call with me. Yeah, it probably does eliminate some people, but I don't want to have to be on a call with you and say to you, oh no, you have to go with us and this and this. I'll explain benefits, pros and cons and this kind of stuff on it. But most of my calls are just getting to know you, and I'll make a decision if I want to work with you or not. Because it's this thing of working in a partnership and going for it. And it's like, I really do believe you should be pre-qualifying to get the right people onto a call, rather than just saying, pull for everyone, and then hoping you're an okay salesperson to pull these people over the line. Because do you want someone sending you a message asking for a refund? I sure as fuck don't. And this. So I'm pretty sure most other people don't. So it's, if you're pulling the wrong people in, you're financially squeezing them to do it, and you can't back it up with results right from the word go. At some point, someone's going to be like, this isn't for me. I need to get out of this. I need to cancel.
I think you need to look at it from the perspective of what your own purchase decisions are like. I think people get so wrapped up in almost like forgetting that they're people and that they're numbers instead. It's like, think about what makes you purchase. Think about, what you go through. Like, me personally, I never make a big investment if I don't go on someone's website, scout them out, check if they're on like different social media platforms, and do my kind of research first before making a chunky investment. So other people are going to necessarily do that as well, and that's why we've made sure that we have everything in place across all platforms. We have different funnels, and we have thank you pages, and we have redirections, and we have all that set up because I know that's what I would want if I was to go and purchase something, especially a chunky thing, rather than just selling in the DMs. Like, it doesn't quite work the same. Like, I personally would never buy anything that is definitely over probably £500 from just a DM message that's sent to me.
Absolutely. And with the one question around like the chunkier side of things, I know you mentioned with the premium side of things, with the logo design, with the websites, what are your views in terms of, is there a definitive like place where you'd be like, a coach this is when you need to get a website, this is when you need to get a logo, or is it from the very beginning?
I think for me, like, I think you need something at the very beginning, but I wouldn't say maybe go to a designer. Just like make something on Canva. Or, like, if you're just starting out, do something on Canva or make something yourself. Because obviously you need something to get started. Otherwise, if you don't have a brand or people don't know who you are or they don't know what they're looking at, then it can be a little bit, you know, ropey to kind of like try and get someone to buy into you. But then I think, because the 1 to 2 year mark of just starting a business is where you're going to make the most changes, I think definitely after the kind of 2 year mark, once you kind of are settled in the business, you know the kind of a little bit more of the direction that you want to go in, I would then maybe, you know, then start thinking about going to a designer, maybe doing a bit more kind of brand strategy foundation work, really having clarity on your competitors, your audience, what marketing is currently working, and then starting to create like branding that's going to help visualize that. And I do strongly recommend going to a designer who doesn't just take things off Shutterstock and things like that, because I would trademark it. It doesn't cost much. It's like £150, £200 trademark, right? But it costs so much more to rebrand than it does that, and you never have to do it again. You're protected. So I always then say, you know, trademark it. You then don't have to go through the whole process all over again. And then, you know, then use your branding to then level up your marketing, level up your other assets. Then maybe you want like a professional looking website. Maybe you've been using like Google Docs for the last year or two. So start then thinking about, you know, and that's the thing, like when Adam was talking earlier, the shiny object syndrome, you know, normal people have that as well. It's then the members area is going to kind of push people over the line. But I don't think you need all that when you're just starting out. But I would be careful, like I wouldn't, if you were to make your own logo or make it on Canva and things, just be careful when using certain software, because Canva does have the rights to everything. So what you create isn't necessarily yours. So I always say, you know, be wary of that in future. If you do become big eventually, it might cause some problems later down the line.
Yeah, and it's coming back to setting the foundations properly from the beginning. One on blitzing through now, but like one on the color side of things. I know you've talked about it before. So if someone's looking to like set up their page and pick a color for, like, it sounds like a simple thing, but is there like particular things they should look out for in terms of like color psychology? Like, yeah,
so I've literally actually just put together a whole color psychology guide for fitness professionals. I'll give it to you. You can put it in the show notes or whatever for people to download. But I've literally just put that out because this is a popular question that we get from people. What color palette should I be using? How does this work? So within the guide, I've literally broken down like what all the kind of psychology meanings of colours are. I've put in colour palettes that you can use. I've given free tools that you can create your own colour palettes and how all that works. So that's all in the guide, and I'll give that to you.
Cool, amazing. And then the last question, as we wrap up, one I found really interesting is like, maybe, I don't know how you'd find it, but like the last kind of 3-4 years since you've built Digital Bear and everything that's come from now, like, what have you found to be like your biggest lesson, I guess, from doing it? Like, is there anything in particular, like a personal development thing, or just anything in general that you think like, oh, that's a cool lesson that I've kind of picked up since then? It's a bit of a
I'd probably go with two of, don't be afraid to ask for help, and this, like, you don't know everything, and that, I guess, from a coach might be genuinely great at coaching. They're not a copywriter. They're not a designer. They're not a videographer. And it's not necessarily go and outsource, but YouTube is the biggest free content library, educational source that you're going to find anywhere in the world. It's like, go and absorb content, listen to podcasts and stuff, and then when you're in a financial position or something, reach out for help. And you'll get somewhere a lot quicker. It's no different from the people you're trying to attract as clients. You are their help. So why do you think you can do everything yourself? And I guess one of the biggest changes that we saw in the business was when we just started networking harder. And it's like, the more contacts you can build, definitely from when you're doing B2B, is phenomenal, because you then build up this network where it's just like, someone might say, I do like, oh, I know the perfect person to go to if you're ready for Facebook ads. Do you want to learn them yourself, or do you want someone to do them for you? Because I can point you in the right direction for either. And if you're saying you need someone for this, and like the little coaching business that I'm starting to do and this kind of stuff, people are coming to me and going like, cool, who do you know that's an expert on this? Because I'd love someone to come in and do a webinar. So it's like, cool, what do you want it on? And I'll point you in the right direction. So it's like, if I didn't have that network, I couldn't help people more. So it's like, from a coach, they should be networking, not necessarily with everyone and anyone, but if there are bits that can help them grow as a coach and go, cool, like, and be honest to some extent with people as well. Like, I respect honesty massively. If someone just dropped me a message and was just like, hey, look, I'm not in a position to buy from you right now on this, we've absorbed some content, but could you do me a favor and just drop me a couple of voice notes on this? How can I improve this? Or what's working? And this kind of stuff. It's like, help someone out, because at some point they probably will be a paying client. But it's like, from the coach, reach out to other coaches. If you're coaching within a certain niche and you're like, oh shit, that person says they're an expert in this, go and do a little bit of networking with them. Check them out, see if they are, or whether they've just decided that they're a mental health expert and written mental health expert in their bio. And do a bit of background information on this. And if you can pull them on for a webinar and stuff and do it, that's awesome, because you're helping your clients even more. And it's because there's nothing worse than pretending to be an expert in something and not fucking having a clue about it, because you'll get caught out. And a bad reputation will grow far quicker than a good one will. And it's like, sometimes people fall short in this, where they're like, oh, I need to put something extra in, or I need to do this, or I need to claim this because it will make me stand out. Or it's like, when you see coaches putting in like, oh, I've helped 800, 900, 1,000, 5,000 people. It's like, sweet, why have you only got 20 transformations on your page going back like 4 years then? Oh, I never bother taking them. It's like, no, because you never worked with that number of people. And it's just like, back up what you claim. That goes back to like, whatever you say you can deliver, make sure you deliver that and then more. So it's like, reach out for help from people and network more with others that you can add value to them and they can add value to you.
I think for me, it's don't give up too easily. So I see so many coaches, kind of, since we've been doing it, like in the last 3 years or so many have come into the industry and disappeared already. Whereas I think for us personally, like, don't get me wrong, like, we've had some really tough months this year. But then I think we're at this point in the year now where we've looked back over what we've achieved this year. And if all goes well, and it doesn't all go horribly wrong, we're about to hit a record year. So it's like, although we've had those really tough months where you think, oh, it's not going to get better, you can always have time to turn things around. Like, I think just don't give up. I think I see so many people come and go, but it's the ones that stay actually kind of make something of themselves.
But I think going off of that, it's like, in reality, what you perceive as a tough month is like, when we've looked back and do a review at the end of quarter, it's just like, you go, oh, actually, it felt hard there because it wasn't another record month, or the quarter wasn't a record quarter. But you're like, well, wait a minute, I built out this, and this product, which sold X, Y, and Z here. And it was like one bit where we just ripped apart in Q2 so many back-end systems, but it's saving us so much time now that you can relate.
The months were like, we had enough money like to kind of pay staff and cover our bills and outgoings and things like that, but like, it wasn't like we were having, the kind of normal months or the ones where we were progressing. But then it's like, yeah, during those months we built the systems, we built new products, and then it kind of goes in a wave, but it does, I don't know, it feels hard at the time, but I think like when you kind of step back and have a perspective over the year, it gives you a better insight. And I think the more you're in it as well, now we're kind of, approaching year 4, we're starting to really kind of start to see the data of maybe the bad months we have in a year and the good months we have in a year, and is there a pattern, and how can we prepare for that now, and what's going to be the next steps to how we approach those months and things like that. So it's more kind of data collecting and seeing what naturally happens.
I think as well, we view things quite differently on the bit where it's just like what we perceive as potentially a hard month is still in reality a fucking good month. Sort of for most people in our industry and this kind of stuff, it's just where, like I said, it wasn't another record month. It's like every progression. It's like we've been in a good solid place with stuff where like every year has seen good percentage, like between 20 and 25% growth year on year on year on the business. And then it does come with these bits where you're like, oh, this here, tracking the data and this thing, it should have been slightly here. But you go, well, actually, I've just built all of this, like I said. And it's where you push in. Or you go, oh, right, profit margin wasn't as high there. And you go, oh, yeah, actually, I did a chunky investment into a new mentor here. Or we've brought in new systems that have cost us stuff. We've paid up front for them and this. So I think it is this bit of knowing in reality what feels hard to you, or bits like this, and going like, oh, it was a hard month. You say, yeah, it was a hard month because we grinded a few extra hours out here and here because we knew like, so here, like, we're here for 5 days, so we know that our workload has to be pulled back a little bit to jump on bits like here, go speak at events and stuff. So like the week, 2 weeks before, we're backloading or front loading all the work into it and going, right, we know we need to do here, touch point with clients and stuff, and it's just juggling stuff around and that with it. So it's just like, it's that case of knowing if you know certain things are coming up, especially for like a coach who takes payment in fulls or something, can go like, oh, this is amazing, I've done a record month, and they've gone, oh shit, for the next 2 or 3 months I haven't. And it feels like you said, oh, it felt hard this, because maybe you've done everything from the previous month and you've got no monthly recurring coming into it, or it's the same as pre that. So maybe you did say that, I mean, May you hit a record month, saw people on 4-month ones and this, and then you said, well, actually my income is the same as April in June, or it's worse because I've had drop-offs. If you're not a coach where you're going, yeah, I'm bringing on 3, 5, 10 clients every single month, but you've just done a giveaway or something and this onboarded 5, you've gone, sweet, this has boosted me up, and now it's come back down. You have to realise why and go, is this actually the best model for me? Or is allowing people to pay slightly higher on the first month and then split payments so that I always am getting more and more each month actually the better model? So I suppose it's weighing up the pros and cons of what works for your business on this. If you need chunky investment because it's the time to pay out annual subscriptions on stuff, or you want to invest into a business mentor or something, yes, we push hard on paying fulls. But then look at your data and stuff to realise, why is this month lower? Or why is it lower here than it is there? Maybe your niche is parents or something, and you're like, okay, potentially August might be a bit of a drop down because of summer holidays, bits this the parents aren't prepared to invest, but then you know just the take up might be September, October might absolutely fly for you and stuff. So I think it is understanding data, tracking it well, and I guess having a little reality check every now and then of what you're doing and this, and going, actually it's not all that bad because I'm earning X times what the annual average is for a person in a month, or bits like that. And it's like, you do have to check yourself every now and then and be like, actually what I've achieved in the last 3, 6, 12 months and this sort of thing is really phenomenal. And sometimes coaches get too far ahead of themselves, because you'll have people saying, well, if you're not earning at least 10k, effectively you're poor. And it's like, you're poor if you want to buy a new Rolex every month. But if you don't live a bougie lifestyle and you're not materialistic, it's like, you could live reasonably comfortably on 2k after tax. And if that's still giving you, say your profit margin on that is 5k, if you're scribbling away 5k into stocks and shares every month, it's like, mate, you are not poor. You're building the wealth, you just don't have 10k. And this is, and the other bit is like, where did the baseline ever become 10k? Like, at what point did we decide that anyone under 10k is effectively poor in life? It's like, roll it back a few years sort of thing, and this pre-COVID, and it was just like, you'd be quite comfortable in a 9 to 5 job at 35 to 40k.
Yeah.
And this, you think we're all right, and this, you're not in the top earners and this, and then suddenly you go to an industry where it's just like, if you're not earning like 6 figures minimum plus and this, there's no correlation between it as well. And it's just like, everyone wants to be a 6-figure business, but every minute's telling you you've got to earn 10k. Well, you don't. You only need 83333.
Yeah.
And then you're earning 6 figures.
Yeah.
Call it 9 and you're past the exact 6-figure mark sort of thing. So it is. And I think it's, again, shiny marketing, and this 10 sounds the number from a kid you're told 10's the best.
Yeah.
And this and that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a point where you can say you earn 5 figures.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. But it's a lot of it, like, it's almost like almost not getting in your own head in a way with it. Like, if you, like, I find, like, if I compare, like, this year to last year, it's usually, like, it's always a positive. So, like it's moving forward, but, like, it's so easy to get stressed with, like, the small data, like, the really small data, and be like, this is completely broken. So, like, Adam, Nicole, like, where can people find you? Like, I'll leave any links and stuff around this episode, but where can people find you if they want, like, particular things, if they want free, like, the free color palette stuff, like, yeah.
So I'm actually putting together a ultimate brand kit, which will be coming out in the next week or two. It will have everything in it. That'll be on our website, www.digitalbeardesign.co.uk. Or alternatively, it'll be in the links of all of our Instagram bios. So I'm Nicole Rogers Strategy. We have Digital Bear Design, and then we have nutritional_bear as well.
Cool, amazing. Those would be linked below. And then, yeah, amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Cool.
Cheers for having us.
Thank you.